Welcome to the Expansive Astrology Podcast, where we look at using astrology beyond the tropes and horoscopes to tune into the natural forces around us and within us, honoring our true nature to craft our future. I'm your host, Melissa, the Self-Care Witch, and I'm here to help you meet your magic. Without further ado, let's begin this week's episode with a tarot reading for the collective. Hi, welcome back to the Expansive Astrology Podcast. Today is episode 42, and I have a very exciting episode for you today. Kind of a different tone to this episode in a way. I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of not sure how it's going to go, and I feel a little bit nervous about it. This week, I want to wrap up not only Pisces season, but also the entire year, of expansive astrology the way I see it. This is like that final push or the final moment, the final week of exploration of what it means to be in a season of self-undoing. This is the final week of self-undoing before we burst into the new astrological year with Aries season, which if you've been listening for the last couple of weeks, you know how much I love Aries season and how excited I am for that. And Pisces helps to set us up for the medicine that Aries brings. So I want to squeeze all the juice out of Pisces energy before we step into a new zodiacal year and a new season. Along with that, I have some things I've been wanting to tell you. I am going to make some adjustments to the podcast. There has been a lot going on in my world. Not only am I pregnant, but it's a complicated pregnancy, turns out. And there's a lot going on in my world, and I want to share some of it with you. And it also means that I have to change some things about the way that I'm working. And I don't even know yet exactly what that's going to look like, but I do want to chat about it with you. I want to give you a little heads up. So we're going to get a little more personal in this episode than I normally do. I'm hoping that I can kind of keep it a little more raw than usual, a little less edited. I'm all about that authenticity, so here I am being pushed with that a little bit, being guided to deepen that. Damn. My word for this year, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but for 2023, my word for the year is depth, which is not necessarily a word I wanted, but it came up and I just was not allowed to choose anything else, if you know what I mean. I was told that my word this year is depth, and already I keep seeing it come up and I'm like, oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Oh, yep, there it is again. Already. Yikes. So stick around. We're going to find out together what this episode is going to be like. But as always, first thing is first, I have a collective tarot reading for you, a 4-card spread based from Lindsay Mack's Soul Tarot. We're going to talk about what's present for us this week, what we're learning, and what we can anchor into. This is a reading for the collective. So if you're hearing this, I trust that you're meant to hear it. So really stay open to seeing how these things may play out for you over the week to come. So first off, present for us is the 10 of Cups, supported by the Sun. And that is so beautiful. And I'm recording this. Today is daylight savings day. So it's the first day where the sun is going to be out until 7 or 8 o'clock. Yes, maybe we lost an hour of sleep, but we gained so much more. And I just think it's really beautiful that the 10 of Cups and the sun are here today, right on the cusp of spring. Right as we're still doing this shadow work, we're still doing this work of self-undoing, which can be really difficult and, not the most pleasant, not the most pretty. And receiving cards like the 10 of Cups and the Sun is just so beautiful and like such a welcome balance, if you ask me. So neither of these cards mean sunshine and rainbows and everything is going to be pleasant and happy. Not exactly. And I know I've read the 10 of Cups on the podcast in an episode very recently, so I might keep this somewhat brief, unlike usual. Usually I go on and on and on about these cards. But I might keep this kind of brief. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'm speaking way too soon. But the 10 of Cups is not saying that everything is going to be sunshine and rainbows. It is saying that we can cultivate the ability to be present for every rainbow that we see. Because like when you think about it, rainbows are they can become really mundane, right? We see them all the time. They're the same every time. It would be easy enough to, just be like, oh, a rainbow, or not notice it at all, but like really to write off that moment. Or we can really learn how to squeeze all the juice out of that moment, to pause and marvel at what the rainbow is and all that it represents to you. They are beautiful and they're not mundane, or they don't have to be. So the 10 of Cups is all about cultivating the ability to, it's kind of like being with the silver linings in life, like always stopping to smell the roses, always finding the silver lining, appreciating every rainbow, every sunset, appreciating every moment your kids aren't bickering and fighting, like romanticizing the fuck out of your life. That's the 10 of Cups. And it's a very glass half full optimistic card. And it's not about bypassing or suppressing, ignoring the hard things. It's not in any way fake or it's not about toxic positivity, but rather it's about making sure you're available for those moments. Making sure you're awake and willing to really be in the beauty that life does offer, even in the midst of, really tragic, really terrible, tough times. There's always a sunset. Or if it's a particularly gloomy day and there isn't really a sunset, there's always a tree or a bird or a meal or a glass of water or a pillow to lay your head on, right? It's about cultivating the ability to always be able to find something to enjoy and romanticize in life. Never missing the joy in life. And that is this week. It's supported by the sun, which again isn't necessarily saying that there's going to be sunshine and it's going to be a happy time. But the sun is Leo energy, and it's actually one of the last cards before we complete the Fool's journey. So it does take, it takes a lot of skill and experience, and it is like one of the last foundational steps before we reach like enlightenment or ascension, if you want to look at the world card that way. But the sun asks us, are you showing up as you truly are? The sun is all about like seeing yourself, really seeing yourself as you are. Authentic and raw and primal and childlike, and allowing yourself to shine in the full force of what you are. It's about really seeing ourselves. It comes after the moon card, where we can't really see quite as well, and we're kind of in the dark, and we're invited to surrender to that, to surrender to the unknown and, kind of like follow guidance or intuition. The sun, on the other hand, we can see, and we're awake and willing to see very clearly who and what we are. And like secondarily, where there's like a willingness to be seen as well, but it always has to start with us. It starts with the courage to let yourself show up and shine in the full force of what you are. Showing up as you truly are. Not what others think you are, not what you're expected to be, not what you have been previously, but like really, truly, fully you. The Sun card is about like having the freedom to fully show up as yourself. It's Leo energy. And that requires that shadow work that comes from Pisces season and comes from like the Moon card and the Tower card, which is only a few cards before. The shadow work, the root work, the like deep excavation of what am I, who am I, what exists in the shadows, right? Some of the things that we talked about last week, the things that we wish we could discard about ourselves or from ourselves. That work is what allows us to do this sun work more fully, more truly. It enriches our work in the Sun card, So that's all present for us this week. And what we're learning is the Ace of Swords, which I pulled for myself earlier this week. So I just think that's kind of interesting. The Ace of Swords as a lesson. This is where we're invited to befriend the brain, to engage with the brain in a new way, in a more helpful way, a healthier way, hopefully. The swords, according to Soul Tarot, are about the brain and its stories. So there's a lot to unpack there, and from the ace through the king, in all these different ways, we're learning what it means to engage with the brain in a healthier, more empowered, more effective way. And the ace is really the start of that. And I really think depending on where you are in your journey with the swords, depending on where you are in your journey with your brain and your brain chemistry and the stories that it tells, I think this kind of looks different for everyone, depending on where you are in your path, right? And wherever you are, the invitation is to have an active relationship with your brain, where it's not just operating and bringing you into a relationship with your brain where you know that it doesn't always tell the truth, and you're very aware of how it operates and what its like go-tos are, and a relationship where you know that you don't always have to take it every invitation that it brings you into. Your beliefs are not facts. Your brain does not operate in favor of your expansion necessarily, but your brain more so operates in favor of keeping you safe and secure. And for most of us, what feels safe and secure is to be small and quiet. In the Ace of Swords, we're starting to learn what it means to utilize the brain in a way that supports our expansion and doesn't just keep us in contraction. A lot of work. It's a lot of fucking work. We don't really have control over our brain chemistry. We often don't have control over its reactions, our automatic thoughts or intrusive thoughts. Like, it's not about controlling it, but how do we relate to it? And can we learn how to relate to the brain in a way that is more supportive and a little more gentle? Just for a quick anecdote, I remember being in my early 20s and sitting in a counseling office and being like, if I didn't have this anxiety, I would make a fool of myself in front of other people. I remember sitting in a counseling office and being like, if like my anxiety helps me, it keeps me safe. If I wasn't terrified of what other people thought of me, then I would then I would act so silly. Like my brain was convincing me that I had to be anxious, that the anxiety was like a safety feature. And that felt so true for such a long time. And it took a lot of work, a lot of sword work to loosen up on that belief and to learn that like the anxiety wasn't helping me and that there was a different way to relate with my anxiety. There's a different way to relate with my brain, and there's a different way to relate with the world that was still safe, but was less contracted and more expanded and more brave and more authentic, more courageous. What we're learning this week is the Ace of Swords. And given all of that, our anchor is the Queen of Swords. And when that one fell out, I was like, ooh, okay. The Queen of Swords feels kind of like a happy balance of what I've already said. It's like this mixture of the Ace of Swords plus the Ten of Cups Sun combo. The way I see the Queen of Swords is like, first off, don't mess. Do not mess with the Queen of Swords. She's got a big old sword. She is not afraid to use it. She's the queen of healthy boundaries. She's the queen of using her voice and her brain in a way that is protective and effective, and just a queen of boundaries. And she represents cardinal air, which is Libra energy. And Libra is such a friendly, like lovely, loving, open, beautiful sign. Libra is ruled by Venus. So I like to say that the Queen of Swords is the queen of boundaries and beauty, the queen of boundaries and friendship. And you really, you can't have one without the other. Friendship requires boundaries. It requires honesty and truth with how you're using your voice and your tongue. It requires you to like share your brain with the people you're relating with, right? So the Queen of Swords has this giant sword held up right in front of her face, and also a hand is outreached like beyond the sword. Her other hand is stretching out, reaching out past the sword, like welcoming. It's very welcoming, but also it's very clear where you stop and where the boundary lies. So as an anchor this week, we're invited to embody that idea, embody that energy. The Queen of Swords knows not to give too much of herself. She knows that setting boundaries and speaking her mind is one of the most healthy and helpful and compassionate things she can do to nurture her relationships. I'm going to say that again. Setting boundaries and speaking your mind is one of the most compassionate and loving things you can do for the state of your relationships. Anchor into that as a truth. Anchor into that knowing. Anchor into what it means for you to be a nurturer of boundaries and beauty. Using that energy as an anchor will support you while you're learning the Ace of Swords, and it'll support you in really being present to the Ten of Cups and the Sun. That's our tarot reading this week. I really like that one. I hope that it feels helpful and medicinal for you as we move through this last week of Pisces season. Now, let's get into it, shall we? Let's talk about the expansive astrology. I want to wrap up Pisces season. I have some invitations for you, some suggestions on how to wrap up the astrological year before we step into the next one. If you have followed expansive astrology for all 12 seasons, hey, thank you. Congratulations. I see you. Thank you for being here. I hope that you find it just as medicinal and exciting and helpful as I do. This is what expansive astrology is all about. I've taken all 12 of the seasons and really looked at how each of them serve as like 12 little windows into different aspects of our life, different aspects of our being. And in and within each of those 12 seasons, each of those 12 windows, I teach you how to really lean into the energetics and the invitations that this season brings so that we can deepen our understanding of ourselves, deepen our understanding of our purpose here, deepen our understanding of how to show up more fully and healthily and, hopefully craft a really fulfilling life. That's the goal, right? That's the dream. Now, here we are at the end of the zodiacal year, ready to reflect on everything that's come before. I think it's really important to reflect on where we're coming from, especially because Pisces tells us to. Pisces is about seeing ourselves, all of it, the depths and the light, the shadows and the light. However you want to look at it, it's the season of self-undoing. It's often associated with addiction and escapism, and I think that's because of how difficult it can be to dive into the depths of our being and hold all of it and see all of it and see the truth, especially when it's dark and difficult. It's about swimming in both directions, right? If you know what I mean. Last week, I scratched the surface. I just scratched the surface on beginning shadow work and what it means to look at our shadow and assimilate our shadow. Now let's use that honesty and that fullness and the sun card, which is present for us this week, to look at what the last year has held for us, what the last 12 seasons, the last 12 moons have looked like for us. It's like an energetic new year. And 2022 was the year of the lovers card in the tarot, where we're learning how to love and be loved no matter what is going on outside of us, no matter what is happening externally, internally meeting those needs. The lovers teaches us how to take personal responsibility for our need to be loved. The lovers taught us, the lovers year 2022 taught us how to show up for ourselves no matter what. So let's really embrace this energetic new year. Let's use the medicine and the magic that Pisces energy brings, as difficult as it can be. Let's embrace and really reflect on an energetic new year. So I want to list the 12 seasons and remind you of what their invitations are, what those 12 windows represent in expansive astrology, so that you can reflect in 12 different ways what has the last year brought you. But first, I want you to revisit that phrase for Pisces season, I believe blank. Before we wrap up the year and enter into the next, take some time to really be with this phrase, I believe. What is it that you believe? Don't think about it. It's not, I know. It's, I believe. Really explore and name the beliefs that you hold closest to you. What do you believe? What exists in your foundation? Reflect on your beliefs and what you are going to be taking with you into this energetic new year. And after all, 2023 is the year of the Chariot, where we are choosing what to leave behind and what to bring with us. We're choosing what to graduate from and what to upgrade. So take some time to really list out where you are now. What are you taking with you now? What do you believe now? And we will build upon that at next week's moon meetup and also in next week's episode. But for now, what do you believe? Touch in with that, open your heart to that, because I want you to reflect on what I'm going to share with you next from that really open, truthful, raw, heart-based place. Okay, now take a moment. Which each of these next 12 windows I'm going to remind you of or tell you about, and take a moment and think, like, what did that look like for me? Check in with, like, where am I with this in this season of my life? A little reflection, a little celebration. Really lean into it. All right. This also serves as a preview of what's to come in the next year. And I love it. So first off, we have Aries, which the phrase for Aries is I am, and it rules the first house of self. So with expansive astrology, we learn what it means to become the emperor of your own life. Explore how you take up space and how you use your voice and how you honor yourself and what you are. I am. It's one of my faves. And then we move into Taurus season, where the phrase is I have. Taurus invites us to stabilize ourselves and tend to our foundation. It's the sign of safety, security, and stability, and cultivating pleasure. In Taurus season, you explore your innate gifts and you connect to your wise inner teacher. Connect to your resources and what is available to you to really strengthen and establish some foundation. Next, we have Gemini, where the phrase is I think, and the theme is communication. In Gemini season, you explore how you seek connection, how your relationships are reflections of yourself. We explore how we communicate things and how we bring our magic out and through us and into the world. And then we move into Cancer season, the first water sign of the year, where the phrase is I feel, and the theme is home. So Cancer invites us to find a sense of home within ourselves, to be with our gushy insides, to find comfort with feeling everything that needs to be felt. And we explore how we protect our soft, vulnerable insides. Next is Leo season, where the phrase is I will, and the theme is creativity. In Leo season, it's time to shine. Leo invites us into shameless self-expression and unmistakable pride. In Virgo season, the phrase is I analyze, and the theme is service. Virgo invites us to return to our inner knowing with diligence and presence and trust and respect. Virgo helps us explore how we can operate even more effectively. It helps us really ground in and get real and practical and effective in how we are living out our soul purpose, living our expression of self. It helps us get practical about how we are meeting our goals. Next is Libra season, where the phrase is I balance, and the theme is partnership. Libra seeks beauty and balance and justice and partnership. So with this energy, we explore how you connect with others, how you honor your inner beauty. Next is Scorpio, where the phrase is I desire, and the theme is regeneration. Scorpio invites us to look deep within and shed old skins. We explore what needs to die to make way for the new. And we explore our deepest desires and taboo topics and how we protect ourselves. In Sagittarius, which is the final fire sign of the year, the phrase is I see, and the theme is exploration. Sagittarius invites us to implement the work we've done thus far to really shoot for the stars. And then in Capricorn, where the phrase is I use, we again root down with some practicality in how we are shooting for the stars. Capricorn brings practicality and skill to those dreams that Sagittarius helped us explore. And then in Aquarius, the phrase is I know. And it's time to get real authentic and a little bit weird. Aquarius helps us with congruence and your unique imprint on the world around you. And then finally, we reach Pisces season, where the phrase is, I believe, and the theme is self-undoing. Emotional Pisces invites us to explore all that we've learned throughout the year and how to make friends with our shadows, how to surrender to the unknown and honor our intuition. 12 seasons, 12 different aspects of what it means to be a human here. 12 opportunities to know ourselves and empower ourselves more fully and a little more deeply. So, I don't know about you, but it has been quite a year for me. And I always think it's really symbolic and important to really honor and acknowledge these sorts of thresholds between energetic years or even season to season. Well, speaking of energetic thresholds, I am, and my work is about to step into a bit of a transition or a threshold, if you will. I don't know. That wasn't as smooth of a segue as it sounded like at first. But like I mentioned at the beginning, I do want to spend a little time before I wrap up for the week, just letting you know where I'm at, where I've been, how things have been for me, and what you can expect from me in the future. And I've made mention of probably most of these things here and there over the past couple of weeks. But there's a lot I've kept very private, and I'm still even right now as I'm about to share things, I'm still not too sure how much I'm going to share. I'm not too sure. Well, yeah, I don't know. And I obviously share a lot of myself and my life and what I'm going through on the internet, whether it's through this podcast or just my other social medias. I'm usually not too afraid to be pretty straight up and honest with what I'm going through. But I haven't done a whole lot of that in this medium yet. I've really created a structure for myself with the Expansive Astrology podcast, and I'll get to that in a minute. But there is a lot going on for me in this season of my life. And there are some things about the way I've been operating and working that are just unsustainable, or it's just not the time. I'm really needing some more space right now. And like, that's really hard for me because I really love all the work that I do and I really believe in it and I really want to give so much more. And like, my list of ideas and my, the list of things that I want to create and put out there, and it's like endless. It feels fucking endless. And that's such a good problem to have, where I'm just like overwhelmed with inspiration and ideas. And I've been putting a lot of pressure on myself to like do all of it, to make space for all of it, to get like all of it done. And I'm pregnant right now. I'm due with a baby in just a few months. And I think that was in some ways kind of adding to the pressure of like, I need to really grow all of this stuff. I really need to like pour so much into it. I need to do this and this and this and this before the baby comes. And, in some ways the baby's already here. So like, it's like not the time for that. And like just last week, I like was adding more to my to-do list. Some of you may have noticed that I uploaded, I think what I called the tarot bite or a tarot snack onto my YouTube channel. After uploading the full episode, I just uploaded the tarot portion of the episode because I thought that might be helpful and useful for people to just have the weekly tarot reading if they don't want to listen to the entire episode. Although I do hope that you listen to the entire episode, but that's beside the point. I thought it would be helpful, but it adds a lot of work. It adds a lot of steps to my week. And one day, that's how I totally want to operate that way. But like today is not that day. And it's not going to be anytime soon. I'm going to really want to take a lot of time and space to welcome my new baby into the world and to allow my whole family to adjust to being a family of 4, which I'm so excited for. I like cannot believe it. I am so freaking excited. And like, I'm not setting myself up to do that. Not only that, but we found out earlier this month that there's a complication to the pregnancy. I'm healthy and the baby's healthy. And it's a complication that can hopefully be resolved in time. And as far as complications go, it is a really like lucky complication to have, I guess. Or it's like not a terrible thing, but there is a lot of like risk and fear here because of it. My goal, my dream is to have a home birth. I want to go to 40 weeks or however long my baby and my body decide is appropriate. And I want to have a safe, healthy, empowered, beautiful birth at home with the people that I have hired and chosen. And all of those preferences are at risk because of this complication. And there's a chance that I would need to be induced and give birth in a hospital and possibly have like a NICU stay for the baby. And that scares the hell out of me. It feels like all of my choices are being taken from me, and we're in this place of like in between. We're in this place of not knowing. In the last 4 weeks, I've been talking about the Hanged One and surrender and surrendering to the unknown. Oh my goodness. That's been really put in my face, you know. Not to mention, last month my toddler was in a cast and I totaled my car, and for only a few months now, I have had no contact with my mother, which I know I haven't talked about on here. There's a lot going on. And it's the end of my Saturn return too. My Saturn's in Aquarius. So I'm really, really like all of that said, like it's been really heavy, and I don't want to gloss over that, but I also kind of do. I kind of do want to gloss over it. It's been really heavy. It's been really hard. I've been incredibly challenged. My mindset has been incredibly challenged. There's been a lot. It's been a fucking lot. And I am really hopeful that that it being the end of my Saturn return, and that I do have a chance to still have a healthy home birth. I'm really hopeful. There's a lot of hope here. There is a lot of empowerment and a lot of power. And there's also a fucking lot going on. Okay. And like, even if it wasn't for like all of those kind of complicated circumstances, with my mom and, you know, and the cast and the car, you know, even if it wasn't for those things, just being pregnant and being, preparing to welcome another baby into our family, like that in itself is, plenty. That in itself is a lot, right? So all of that to say, I need to slow down. I need to focus in. I need to take space. I need to refine what I'm giving myself to. And I need to take some fucking pressure off of myself. You know what I'm saying? I hope you understand. So here's what I think that's going to look like. My goal is to give more of myself more fully to fewer things. So first off, that means my body and this pregnancy and my family and this baby. And that's always been the first thing, right? But it's time to go deeper. Next is my work with my clients and my moon meetups and my Meet Your Magic members. I want to take my work deeper with the people who are here and the people who are already working with me. I want to respond to my emails sooner. You know, I want to take the moon meetups and turn those up a notch. I want to make sure that I'm taking time to educate myself and read and devote myself to my own practices and doing the things that will bring my work deeper. I told you my word for the year is depth. And I have a thriving coaching practice. So much so that I can't advertise my coaching anymore because I have a wait list. And I don't really want that. I don't want people on my wait list for months and months and months on end. So I am so fucking grateful to my clients, my one-on-one clients. My coaching practice is that is like what sets me on fire, is working one-on-one with people. And I want to deepen my work there first. And then next is the podcast, the Expansive Astrology podcast. And if you didn't know, this podcast, it takes a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. And actually, I can't believe that I've been able to devote this much of myself to the podcast for 42 weeks in a row now. 43? 43 weeks in a row now. Like, that's bananas. And I'm really proud of myself, and I really believe in it. I really believe in what I have here. And I love doing it, and I love bringing it to you. I love that it's helpful to you. But it's too much, at least right now. So my plan for now is to do one episode per month, one episode per season for the foreseeable future, at least through my initial postpartum. It might be for this entire astrological year. I don't really know. And there might be times where I do more than one per season, right? But I probably shouldn't even be saying that. Melissa, no. Less work, Melissa. Less work. The point is less work. I'm already like, maybe a little bit more. No. I'm going to try to stick to one episode per season. And I hope that that'll allow it to feel deeper. I just want to bring more depth to these things. I feel like I'm stretching myself so thin, and it's not working. It doesn't feel good. There's not there's not enough flow. Like, I want this work to flow better for me, and it's time that I listen to the several cues that have been telling me, like, it's time that I listen to that. It's time that I heed the call, and pump the brakes just a little bit. This does mean that I will be bringing a lot more to the moon meetups. So if you like what I'm doing here, make sure you are signed up for the Meet Your Magic monthly membership for your all access moon meetup pass. And make sure you've joined the Expansive Astrology Facebook group, because I intend to go deeper there too. It's kind of been dead for a while, but I want to keep expansive astrology alive. And since I won't be giving as much to the podcast, I'm going to be giving in those other ways, right? I'm going to be giving expansive astrology in the moon meetups and in the Facebook groups. And if that's something that you want to keep up on, especially starting from Aries season, like, I have a few of you, a handful of you, who have been with me from Aries season to Pisces season, 2 years for 2 years now. And each season, as they unfold, they really build upon each other. So it's so fun to start from Aries and work through all 12 seasons. This is hard for me. It's hard for me in some ways because I don't want to step back from my work. I want to do more work. But it feels, I'm like trying to trust it. I'm trying to trust that call. And it feels like I'll be able to bring more in a way, even though that's like contrary to the goal. I really think, I really hope that that's kind of what's going to unfold, But the goal is spaciousness, and to like take some pressure off of myself. And I think this is the way to do it. So thank you for listening to that. As much as I value authenticity and I really like strive to be transparent and, pretty shamelessly human, I also, it's like really heavy stuff, and it's stuff that I'm currently wading through. Like, it's stuff that it's just so present for me. It's harder to share those things, when it's still really fresh. So I appreciate you hearing it. I appreciate well wishes and positive vibes and prayers. Again, like, I am safe and my baby's safe, and I'm thankful that like medicine exists and medical intervention exists. And my goal is to have as few interventions as possible. My goal is to have a healthy home birth. It's like it feels very important to me. So And then, of course, the stuff with my mother is like, it's difficult. It's really, that's an understatement. It's like incredibly painful. It's really heartbreaking. It's really hard for me. I'm in a period of surrender, and we'll see how it unfolds. So these are just things that are harder for me to be transparent with, at least at this point. But they are so present and they are so real, and they're impacting my work. And I want to be honest about that. And I want as many people rooting for me and this little baby as possible. So, so on that note, let me just say one more time, like, thank you for hearing me. Thank you for being here. I hope that my work here serves you in some way. Because you being here and your love and support certainly fuels me. I love you so much. Here's a reminder that my next moon meetup is Sunday, March 19th, for the first new moon of the astrological year, for the new moon in Aries. So it's going to be a big one. I'm super excited for this one. And I will see you sometime next week for the Aries season episode of the Expansive Astrology podcast. Until then, thanks for being here. Have a good week. Take care. Bye. Now, before you go, let me keep your ear for just a moment. This week's episode is brought to you by www.theselfcarewitch.com, my bread and butter, where you can find more information on my current courses, offerings, and other fun ways to connect with myself and yourself. If you enjoyed this episode and you dig what I'm doing here, please subscribe to the podcast, rate it, and leave a review. It helps so much. And if you'd like to connect with me, head to theselfcarewitch.com. I'd truly love to hear from you. Until next time, take care.